Okay, good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Breakfast with Data. This our deep dive with DataFrame series. Last week we were able to do a lot about data frames, introducing what are the core fundamentals of data frame, some rookie mistakes that one can make when building a data frame both in Pandas and PySpark. We looked at how to do some basic filtering, wrangling of the data, selecting columns, selecting rows, and applying certain filter to see all the stuffs that we can do with that. Basically, all of those, but today we are going to take it a step forward and move into aggregating data, which is more like the real work that you as a data engineer will do, because at the end of the day, you are trying to, by doing aggregation, you're trying to make sense of what the your data set is, and that way you can begin to answer certain question. If I group this data set this way, what does a particular cohort look like uh in my data set? And I'm going to, one of the areas that we are going to look at, if you have a data set, or if you're, before you start doing aggregation on any table, is to, first of all, you need to know what your grain is in this particular table. For example, if we are looking at a table, and this is one of the core concepts of if you're doing data warehousing, data engineering, or any of the other data, this thing, when we say grain, what do we refer to as a grain on a table? That's like the most atomic piece of information you have on the table. That's the lowest level that information can be kept. You see, you can aggregate anything below the, everything that you are doing aggregation on can start above the grain that you have set. And when we talk about the granularity, we are talking about, so for example, if you have like a student table, student ID might be the grain on that particular table, and you have to be very, very careful. Let's say we have a, because when you do an aggregation, what does one row, yes, that's another thing, that's another way to look at grain, is what does one row on my table represent? What is the unit of information on a particular row? Is this row per student? You understand? So when you, and it's easy when you know what is the unique ID on that this thing, because if you look at this, our let's look at this, our table, and we can see, if we look at this enrollment table, for instance, we will see that we have enrollment ID, right? Student ID. I'm not sharing your screen, no. Oh, you guys can't see my screen, and yes, you have not been. Thank you, John, for saying that. Okay, I hope you can see the screen now. Yes, sir. Good. So with this enrollment ID, student ID, course code, enrollment date, status, we have like 4 different kind of IDs here, right? There is the enrollment ID, there is student ID, there is course. But the real truth is, if we take a look, and we can actually go and look at this from a let's just bring in PD, import pandas, import pandas as PD, so that we are able to bring in that particular uh, table that we are interested in, and we can now say enrollment is equal to pd dot read csv, and we can pass in the URL of this particular CSV that we are interested in. And if I run this now, you should be able to get and we can see the head and see how it looks. Or maybe we can just take some sample. I can just do display dot samples and let's take 10. So we have 10 samples from dot sample and we can take just 10 out of these and see how it looks like, so that we can understand that I mean, the enrollment ID is actually the grain, but we always need to know what is the grain of our this thing. So when we say for example, on this unfortunately, this is not the kind of this thing that we can be doing. I'm trying to look at what we can say average. We can't do anything average here because almost everything is string. It's just cost code. Let me take, I think it's the grade table that will make more sense for us to use in this particular instance. So if we look at the grade will make sense because we can look at what is the average grade, and this is interesting. In fact, this is what I should use. I can do grade and set it equal to pd dot read csv, and I can just paste that, and we have this. And instead of enrollment dot sample, I can just do grades, right? And if I were to run this now, I will see what is our sample. Now, the interesting thing here is that we can aggregate based on enrollment ID, which doesn't make sense because enrollment ID is the atomic unit here, right? Where we can't split this any further. This is the grain. So that means we can aggregate on the course code, right? Student ID, if we want to see average, we can see average grade per student, right? We can see average grade by courses. By student means based on a particular student, we will take the aggregate of the different courses a particular student does. So your average grade, and this might be something that will be used to calculate the what is it called, CGPA, and we can look at the course, and we can also compare what a student is doing versus what they ought to be doing in that particular course. What is the average? Because sometimes these averages give some of us some comfort in our work. How does that give us comfort in our work? Is if you check your results and you find out that you are not doing very well, it will be comforting if you know that it's not just you. Joy, you're laughing. It's not just you that the course is like that for everybody. Everybody did not pass it. I mean, if you check your score and maybe you got 56 and the class average is about 50, you will still be like, still do above average, that lecturer is just not a, is just a wicked lecturer, right? Or if you check, but if you check your score and you realize that I did not score that much, you now start wondering, well, what did I do? Like maybe the class average is 78 and you are getting 40 something, you've not tried. So we use averages. And how do we do averages in DataFrame? Is by group buys, just like we do in uh in in our regular this thing. Now if I want to say um average um average grade per course, how am I going to do that? I can say avg uh per course, and I will set it equals to, remember this is going to give us a new data frame, right? And this data frame will be calculated in a different way, and I can say grade dot group by dot, and I'm going to pass in the column that I want to have inside this thing, and that will be our course code. So I'm just going to write it, course underscore code, and I'm going to say the what I want to the column I want to calculate on. So I'm going to pass that in. That would be great. Right. And grade, I can now say dot mean. So this is going to do a sum total of everything, and then I can immediately after this say display this dot add or dot sample, but dot add will make more sense in this case because it's not supposed to be a lot. Average grade dot, wait, average grade per course. Why is it not showing me like a data frame? Average grade per course. Let's remove this. I know it's not, that's not the issue. I want to see per course. Is it a pandas data frame? Let's print. It's showing it like a series, but this is more like a data frame. Oh, it's a pandas. Oh, because of this dot mean, it's a pandas series, and that's why this is coming like this. Makes sense. Makes sense. Okay. If I, it's a pandas series, not a data frame. Of course, you can convert it to a data frame, but I'm just going to leave it here. You can see the average grade on the different courses: B201 70, B2 B DB 101, database 101 71. So in some of these courses, when you see your score, you already know how you are doing. So again, So this comes back as a series. You understand? It's not a data frame, and that is not what how we want it. But let's even go further. Let's say I want to see um mm, I want to see multiple values, right? In this particular case, I'm only seeing just one value. And if I want to see multiple values, how do we do that? I can say, I can still take this average grade per course, or instead of average, let me just do per courses, because I will be seeing min, max, and this thing. You can call it courses summary or something per course. So I can group this per course code, but instead of doing grade.min here, I'm going to introduce something called an aggregate function, and it's a AGG in Pandas AGG. And inside this, I'm going to tell you the column that I'm interested in, and I'm going to say grade. How does this student ID, enrollment ID? I'm going to say grade. This is the column I'm interested in. I'm now going to pass in a series of functions that will go into this aggregation. So I will do min. I will do I will do min.
So now, do you mean like minimum or mean like average?
Min like minimum. I will do min like average. Okay, let's do average first. Both will come min, and I can do the minimum min. I can do maximum, and I can also do count actually. So that I have a count on how many people turn up for this grade. Because if I'm looking at only 3 of us, or only one person, or 2 or 3 people, mean median max does not really show the spread count. And I can look at there's something else. Can say for student ID. Or let's run this first. Okay, I know why this is ruling the line. This needs to be in a, yeah, it needs to be passed in as a dictionary. So this is what I am. Good. Now we can run this now, and that will give us a data frame. So I can do per display per course. Any questions so far? And you can see this grade all this is not showing the, in fact, you can see this is showing grade mean, grade B. There is a way for us to rewrite this query. Of course, we can round the mean down to let's say 2 decimal places, but that's not the focus for now because of the time. Let's look at another way, maybe a cleaner way to show this data frame. Instead of this grade mean, grade mean, grade mean, there is even another way that we can do this in a cleaner uh, approach. And of course we can add, we can add another column here and do let me even see how this would look before I decide. Students ID, right, which is a column, and I can say the number of unique and unique. And unique. This should go inside command and this should go inside the dictionary. So we can have this and have this control V, and we need to put a comma here. That looks like it's unique. If we run this now, we can see, we can also tell that the number of unique students in this particular in this instance is 14, here is 12. And someone might be wondering, why do we have the grade count and the number of unique students greater than? That means that some of those students have null value. So when we count on the grade, it's telling us we have 13 grade, but 14 students in this particular case. Why? Because one of the students probably missed out. In this particular one, we even have a more serious this thing on this particular course code. Okay, the aggregation is not showing here because let's make it neater. We can reset index to show the course code. Now let's see another way we can do this. We can say let's rewrite this in a more neater fashion. Right, I can go this way because I can now set it equal to grades, right, dot group by. The interesting thing that you are going to say, okay, maybe when we get to PySpark, don't let me jump the gun. And we are still on course code, and we can do the aggregate now dot agg, and here we are going to have the avg grade, right, and we are going to pass that in so that this will now be the new column name, right? So we are going to say grade, right, comma, mean, right, and so we are going to do comma here, and we can say mean grade, and we'll set it equal to grade, and we can set this into minimum, right, and max grade, can set it to grade max, right? And which other one do we have there? Count. You can say n grades and we can set this equal to grade comma count. And then we can also look at the number of students and students. And we can set this also to this we need us to pass in the student ID. Student ID. Again, you list the column and the aggregate function you want to do on it. And unique. And this does not have that comma. Good. And we are fine. Now we can do dot reset reset index. That's the correct spelling of reset. I think it is. So we can run this now. And per courses series does not have a group by series group by postcode aggregate. Why is this? And unique. I did not spell this unique very well. How do we spell unique again?
UNIQUE.
Unique. Okay, N here, right?
Yes, sir.
And unique. Okay. Good. Now, if we have this command C, and we have this here, if we run it, we should see. Can you see that? Now, between this one, maybe I can move this. I think we used to be able to move cell. Yeah. Let's move this cell up and bring this one down. Between this one and the one at the top, which one looks better? Which one makes sense? I will let you guys decide that one.
The one to be next.
You see that this one makes a lot of sense because number one, we have the column name, and number two, by resetting index, right, we are able to see the the different course code and everything that we need here, right? And you can see this makes a lot of sense, unlike this other one that we're looking at. Any question before we move forward? Of course, now this will be I mean, there are several other ways to do this. There are some other stuff that you can do.
Compare the first code you wrote for. Okay.
This is a easier one, but when you look at it, this syntax, the first one looks more, it looks awkward for downstream work, right? the aggregation is just there. Stakeholders can't really do proper work on this. You understand? This is us that know what we are talking about. But when you look at the other, the second one where we do the alias very well, everything went fine. Okay, let's see. Suppose we want to do this in Spark. How is it going to look? So if I do, of course, we have to bring in some special function from the PySpark SQL functions library. So you can do from PySpark, right? .sql dot function, right? Import col, which is column avg, right? Mean, max, count, and we'll bring in count distinct. Just to achieve similar stuff. And I'm going to bring in the data frame and call this spark underscore grades, and I'm going to set it equals to spark dot read dot CSV. We'll copy the other one, header equals true, and I can make sure it infer the schema, set it equal to true as well, and I'm going to go ahead and copy the grade from here. We'll go here and I'm going to paste it here, right? So we have the grades column, and we can display just so that we see display Spark grades. That way we have we see what we are dealing with. Of course, that is not what we are interested in here. And now we can do our let's look at single aggregation and multiple aggregation, the way we've been doing it. Let's say we have this which single one did we do earlier? Just the mean, right? Mean in this particular case in Spark will be like average, right? And we can now do let's say SP per course. All right, I can set it equal to Spark dot, no, not Spark, this will be Spark grades, right? Spark grades. I can now say dot group by dot group by. Now, what I wanted to say the other time is group by in pandas is written in a camel case. So be very careful when you are doing that, especially when you are juggling between pandas, PySpark, and SQL. It's very common. I do it a lot. That whichever one I've been writing for a while is what I will misspell the group by, which is normal. Don't worry, it's okay. You will correct yourself or the machine will throw error. And we can do course code, right? And we will just do this .agg, right? And we can pass in the average avg, and we'll pass in the grade, right? And yeah, it's not like what is it called? It's not like pandas where it will return series or something. We can just do the alias directly here, alias, and we can alias this outrightly as avg, avg, avg grade. And I'm going to put this here, and I'm going to say sp per course. Just going to display it. Can you see that? I mean, out of the bat, everything is coming as it should be. Now, suppose we want to do multiple this thing. It's the same way we wrote it for one. This is where some of you might be liking Spark more than, especially those coming from a SQL background. So if your hand is very, very tough on SQL, you are definitely going to like pandas. So we can have this way, right? So suppose we want to do multiple columns, like we're doing multiple aggregation the other time. You just come here, add your comma, and do your alias. So see, we want what did we do the other time? Min, max, end grades, and this is, so you do min, and we put in the column we are interested in, dot alias, and I can pass this in and say min grade, and max we can do this way and say column we are interested in, grade dot alias. I think this is more readable than the pandas approach. Max grade, we'll put comma, count, and we can do grade and alias it as n grade. And we can have this other one. Instead of count, we will do count distinct, right? And we'll pass in student ID, right? And we'll do the alias, and students, and we can display the students, the PySpark data frame. Can you see it? Now we have this, and we have what we have before using uh, using Spark. So again, Spark is Spark is amazing. Now another thing I could have gone into, but I don't think the time will permit us, is to look at window function in Spark. Window function is a way of, I don't know if, I mean, those of us that are familiar with SQL, maybe we should teach what window functions are first before we look at, because there are another way to do aggregation based on a window, a moving window that we are going to define. So we define a window within our data frame, which is like a subset. Then every aggregation we do will be at that window level, and we can move that window. So if you've been hearing things like um, rank, row number, desk rank, uh, things like that. So again, windows come with partition. So you pick something that you will use to do the partitioning, but I don't think we should go into that today because of our time. Okay, what are some of the common mistakes that people uh, three things common things that people get wrong? Always look at what your output is going to be, right? Before you even write your group by, know what is your output. I group student ID, but my output has more rows than I have students. But you group by student ID. Do you get? So you have, let's say, in this particular case now, we group by course code, right? And there are 10 course codes here, right? If your this thing is returning, if you know your this thing, you've counted distinct, you know that the table or the data frame that you are going to have should only have 10 rows. But let's say we suddenly see 50 rows here, you already know that there is a problem. Anything you group by becomes the new green of your new data frame. So be aware and be watchful for that. Now, you can be mixing aggregated and non-aggregated columns. You understand? I mean, if a column shouldn't be aggregated, uh, it's the same value, it has the same value within the group. If you add a non-aggregatable or something that should not be aggregated into this thing, for example, maybe we are doing student table, you are now passing it into the group by the aggregate function, you are putting maybe last name, or in this particular case, yeah, maybe last name or first name if we have a student table. And that is not something that you want to do, because automatically this guy will try to uh, will try to help you, because sometimes and in some cases there are some cases where you may want to I'm just thinking where maybe you want to pick max, maybe you are doing a pivot table or something. You might deliberately uh, uh, put some things there, but always be sure of what you are trying to aggregate by. And I think I can't. The one I want to say, I think it's gone. But again, always make sure the columns you are aggregating by, they exist. You understand, and they are aggregable. In my this thing, I wanted to go to, but that would be an SQL, so that. But this is not an SQL class. I wanted to say, if you were going to do any aggregation, you should make sure that the columns you are interested in your group by also appear in your select. But we are using PySpark and we are not writing direct query. We could write direct query straight at the table here, but that is not this is not a SQL class. Any question so far? I think this will be a good place to stop for today.
Mr. That please, that place where you wrote where you wrote where you wanted to import using Spark. I want to ask a question there.
This one.
This place I said import column average min max. Is it because of the aggregate function we want to use? That was why I imported all those, or that's the syntax?
No. That's because all this stuff are things. I think the only one we did not use here is call. But it's just in my head to always import column, right? If you want to select column, we will bring it in. So um these are functions of the PySpark library that we can bring, and it is because we wanted to use them. If we're not using anything average, mean, max, count distinct, there's no need to bring them in.
If you are not importing those ones, what will syntax be?
You don't need this guy to get the data frame if you are not using any of them, right? Yeah. Yes. But then it will be very difficult for you to write it this way. Because what are you doing? So you will be using what is natively part of the Spark data frame, which I'm not sure we offer you much. I hope that helps you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, today on will be a very quick class. It will be our shortest class. In the absence of questions, I want to say thank you very much for your time. It's been breakfast with data. See you tomorrow when we take this to another level, when we start looking at other things within as we go deeper in this our data frame deep dive. Thank you. Have a lovely day ahead.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye, sir.
Thank you.